The sun was merciless that day. It scorched the cracked earth beneath my worn-out boots, and the heat shimmered like ghosts on the horizon. My hands trembled as I tightened my grip on the rusted shovel, the weight of it dragging me down like the burdens I carried in my chest. My shirt clung to my back, drenched in sweat and dust, and my breath came out in shallow gasps that felt like tiny fires inside my lungs. I wiped the sweat from my brow, the salt stinging my eyes, and that's when I heard it. A soft trembling voice from behind me, a whisper carried by the wind itself. "You can rest here a while." For a moment, I thought I was imagining it. No one had spoken to me kindly in months. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of simple compassion, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that touch hearts. I turned around slowly, and there she was, a frail woman in her late 50s, her gray hair tied loosely beneath a faded scarf. Her small cottage stood behind her, surrounded by wilting flowers and the faint hum of bees. She looked at me, not with suspicion, not with pity, but with something I hadn't seen in so long. Understanding. The kind that makes you want to fall to your knees and just breathe again. "My name is Daniel. I used to be a man people respected. A construction foreman, a father, a husband. The kind of man who woke up before dawn, kissed his wife on the forehead, and went out to build homes for others. But life, as it often does, turned cruel. It started with the accident. One moment, I was standing on a scaffold, shouting orders. The next, I was holding my best friend's hand as his blood pulled between the cracks of concrete. It wasn't my fault, but guilt has a way of twisting reality. The company blamed me. The court agreed. My license was revoked, my savings drained by legal fees, and soon enough I was a man without a home. My wife tried to hold on for a while, bless her heart. But watching me drown in my own silence, watching the man she loved crumble into something unrecognizable, it was too much. One night, she packed her things and left a note on the table. "You have to find peace, Daniel, even if it's not with me." I couldn't even blame her. I just sat there reading those words until the ink blurred with tears. So, I walked town to town, job to job. No one trusted a man with a record, even one that wasn't criminal. I worked odd days, slept under bridges, ate what I could find. My hands became rougher, my face older, my heart quieter. That day, I was walking down a dirt road outside a nameless town, searching for someone who might let me trim hedges or repair a fence for a meal. That's when I found her, or maybe when she found me. The woman's name was Margaret. She offered me a glass of cold water first. I remember my hands trembling so hard I nearly spilled it. Then she said those words again, this time louder, her voice like the soft rustle of autumn leaves. "You can rest here a while." I didn't know what to say. I didn't even trust kindness anymore. It always came with conditions. But Margaret didn't ask for anything. She just handed me a towel and pointed toward a wooden bench on her porch. I sat there for what felt like hours, just listening to the sound of the wind brushing through the trees. She brought out a bowl of soup and bread later, saying, "Eat first. Talk later." As days turned into weeks, she let me help around her property, fixing broken steps, repainting her fence, tending her small garden. She lived alone. Her husband had passed years ago, and her children were grown, living far away in cities that had long forgotten her gentle presence. In return for the work, she offered me a small room in her shed, a place to sleep, and warm meals that tasted like home. But more than that, She gave me something I hadn't realized I'd lost. Dignity. I remember one afternoon vividly. I was repairing the old birdhouse that hung near her window when she walked up behind me with 2 cups of tea. She said, "You remind me of my Thomas, always fixing things that others would just throw away." I smiled awkwardly and asked, "Did he build this place?" She nodded. "Yes, and I've tried to keep it standing since he passed, but sometimes I wish someone would fix me instead." Her voice cracked slightly on the last word, and in that moment, I realized she was lonely, too. We became silent companions. She didn't pry into my past, and I didn't ask too much about hers. But somehow, our silences spoke. They filled the house like gentle music. The creak of the rocking chair, the simmer of stew on the stove, the hum of an old radio playing songs neither of us could fully remember. Yet, even in that fragile peace, I carried my guilt like a shadow. I'd often wake up at night drenched in sweat, seeing the face of the man who died in that accident. I'd whisper apologies into the dark, hoping someone up there might forgive me. Margaret once found me sitting outside one night, staring at the stars with trembling hands. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just placed a blanket around my shoulders and said softly, "Sometimes resting isn't giving up. It's healing." Her words sank deep into me like rain into dry soil. One morning, after nearly 2 months, a letter arrived. It was from my wife. Somehow, she had tracked me down through a shelter I'd visited before. The letter was short, but it broke something open inside me. She wrote that she missed me, that our daughter Emily had been asking about her father, and that maybe it wasn't too late to come home, but I didn't know if I could. I wasn't sure who I was anymore. The man she loved was long gone, replaced by someone weary and broken. Margaret noticed my silence that day. At dinner, she said quietly, "You don't have to tell me what's in that letter. But if it's pulling you towards something good, don't ignore it. Life doesn't always give us second chances." Her voice trembled, and I realized she was speaking from her own pain. Maybe she'd missed her chance with someone once, too. That night, I made a decision. I would leave the next morning. But before I did, I wanted to thank her properly. So I woke early before dawn and fixed her garden fence completely, renailed every loose board, painted over the weathered wood, and left a small note by the teapot that read, "Thank you for teaching me how to rest again." I was halfway down the road when I heard footsteps. I turned and there she was, breathless, clutching her shawl. She looked at me with tearful eyes and whispered again, "You can rest here a while." This time, I smiled. "I did," I said. "And because of you, I can keep walking now." Her hand trembled as she reached out and touched my arm, her eyes filled with something between pride and sorrow. "Then go, Daniel," she said softly. "And when you see your family, tell them a tired soul found peace in an old woman's garden." I don't remember how long I walked after that. Maybe hours, maybe days, but something inside me had changed. The world looked softer. The sun didn't burn anymore. It warmed. I kept thinking about that little cottage, about Margaret sitting in her rocking chair, smiling faintly at the sunrise. When I finally reached the small town where my wife lived, my heart pounded like it used to on the first day of a new job. I stood outside the gate for a long time before I found the courage to knock. The door opened and there she was, Sarah. Her hair was shorter now, her face tired, but still achingly beautiful. And, beside her stood Emily, our daughter, taller than I remembered. Sarah didn't speak at first. She just stared, eyes glistening, and then stepped forward. I wiped the sweat from my brow, nervous, trembling, hopeful, and before I could say a word, she whispered, "You can rest here a while." Those were the same words, the exact same ones Margaret had said to me that first day. I didn't know if it was coincidence, fate, or something divine, but in that moment, I realized life had come full circle. I wasn't being told to stop. I was being told to begin again. That night, after tucking Emily into bed, Sarah and I sat on the porch in silence. She told me she had never stopped praying for me, never stopped believing that I would find my way back. And I told her about Margaret, the woman who saved me without even knowing how broken I was. Months later, I returned to visit Margaret's cottage carrying flowers. The gate was slightly open, but the garden was quieter than I remembered. I knocked gently, but no one answered. The neighbor came out and told me softly, "She passed away a few weeks ago, peacefully in her sleep." I stood there, frozen. The wind rustled the flowers in my hands, and I felt tears well up again. On her porch, I saw something nailed to the wall, the birdhouse I'd repaired for her. It was still standing strong, still welcoming life, still doing what she had always done, offering shelter. I placed the flowers beneath it and whispered, "Thank you, Margaret, for everything." When I walked away that day, I didn't feel empty. I felt full. She had given me something no money, no job, no forgiveness could ever buy. Hope, the kind that doesn't fade even after goodbye. And now, every time life gets heavy, every time I feel the weight of the world pressing down, I remember her voice, soft but steady, whispering through the years. "You can rest here a while because sometimes rest isn't the end. It's where healing begins." Speech balloon. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing stories of hope, kindness, and redemption to life. Dove special request in the comments. Write, "Thank you, Margaret," as a tribute to everyone who offered us a place to rest when the world felt too heavy.